Hey guys, Mark Holthe here, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, coming to you live one more time here on the Canadian Immigration Institute private Facebook. Well, actually, it's not private. I'm now broadcasting on the Canadian Immigration Institute page. So, those of you who are used to watching it in the Express Entry Law private Facebook group, well, like I've said in the past, the reason I've switched over here is so that all of you guys are going to be able to share this with everyone else that may not be an actual member of the Express Entry Law private Facebook group. So I'm learning slowly as to what works and what doesn't. But fortunately, you guys are awesome and you're patient and you allow this crazy immigration lawyer, Mark, to experiment and test things out. Hopefully the content at the end of the day is what's worth it, because obviously the form and the production, wow, I'm not pouring a lot of money into this, but that's okay. The thing that I am pouring in is time. And I think you guys can probably agree that having a little bit of opportunity to chat with me via live messages, sending me emails right here to my fine assistant Stephanie, to be considered for these live Q&As, those are all worth it. So although the form of these EE live Q&As isn't the fanciest or the most high quality production value, hopefully you can appreciate the efforts that I'm making to at least give awesome content. All right. Well, we'll wait for a few more people to start piling in. As always, you guys, I love to hear where you're listening from. So post in the comment section exactly where you're listening from. Ralph, as always, my faithful Ralph, he says hello. Hey Ralph, how you doing? Yuri, hey, it's going good. Yuri says, how's it going? It's going good, Yuri. Hyder says, hi Mark. Deeksha says, hi, hope you're well. I'm doing really good. I've been studying like crazy this week because I have an exam this weekend. And some of you are probably wondering, what exam would Mark be writing? Haven't you already completed your schooling? Well, yes, I have. And I've spent an unbelievable amount of time in school getting to the point where I am finally settled as an immigration lawyer here in Canada. But the reality is there are some other things that I'm hoping to accomplish. And one of those, well, let me just show you, is this book right here that I'm about halfway through that I need to finish today. And this is right here, the Annotated Model Rules of Professional Conduct for the American Bar Association. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. So this is what I'm studying. And there's a reason for it. This exam here with the annotated, I guess you can't really see it there. It doesn't show up very good. It's too bright outside. These annotated rules of professional conduct are the precursor to me taking steps to hopefully get my U.S. bar call, so called as a lawyer in the United States. And the reason I'm doing that is because so many of you are coming to Canada because things in the US are just not cool. They're just kind of crazy and volatile. While at the same time, a lot of companies, including our very own Encana oil company in Calgary, are heading down south. And so if the opportunities from a business standpoint are south and the opportunities from an individual standpoint are here in Canada, then why in the world would I not take advantage of both sides? So I'm taking steps that I need to right now to get that US bar call so that when all of you guys come to Canada, if opportunities open up for you back in the US and you think that you might want to return there, well, I'll be in a position to help you. If you think that Canada is your home forever, that is fantastic. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because I love sharing information. And I love having you awesome people navigate your way into our awesome country because we need you. But I'm expanding my horizons and I'm doing some different things. And I've always been a member of the American Immigration Lawyer Association. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and I've been studying and studying, I can get through this exam, which I think it's not a super hard exam. Well, no, it's challenging. I'm not even going to try to minimize it. It's tough, and it's heavy slogging. Excuse me, it's very heavy slogging. Okay, let's see. Those of you who are just tuning in, please post in the comments where you're tuning in from so I can see where everybody's listening. And then without further ado, we will jump into first the email questions that we get from our listeners. If you are a first-time viewer of this EE Live Q&A, wondering who this crazy Mark Holthe is, well, I am a Canadian immigration lawyer. I'm based out of Lethbridge, Alberta, and I've done this EE Live Q&A for probably, I don't know, 2.5 years, maybe 3? Seems like an eternity. But every week at noon, I've had some shifts on the day that I've done it, but consistently it's been noon Mountain Standard Time here in Alberta. So with that being said, this is usually when I do it. And as I'm trying to accommodate the other things that are going on in my life, then it just seems like Tuesday at noon is the best time. Even though I know many of you guys are staying up so late, you know, whether it's midnight or 1 or 2 in the morning just to catch these live Q&As. And so thank you so much for tuning in and watching and asking the questions in the comment section when I give you the sign. Not yet. Don't do it yet. Because that's what makes these live Q&As so much fun. Now, I recognize that they're super long, and many of you who are watching this for the first time are probably thinking, why in the world are these so long? Well, I just answer everybody's question until I run out of time, and I give a full hour, essentially my lunch at noon on Tuesdays, to do this. If you are watching this as a recording, obviously anyone on the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel is watching it as a recording. If you are wondering how you can get your questions to me, well, just like this, all you need to do is send an email and send it to Stephanie right here at stringham.ca, and make sure that you put EE Live Q&A in the subject line. And then if you can get a good question that's of general nature, that is beneficial to many people watching this, then you're going to have a far greater chance of getting it through to me to be considered here in the live Q&A. And we get a ton of questions, a ton. So make it good, and Stephanie just might let it pass through to me. All right. Okay, let's see where everybody's tuning in from here. Okay, so we have, let's see. Haider is, okay, so we've got Haider, Diksha, Tanvi, Yuri. Haider's from India. Ralph, of course, is Edmonton. Welcome, Ralph. Diksha's India. Sandra is here. Hi, Sandra. It's great to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sandra is a close friend that's here, and I'm doing some special work with her right now because she's had a real tough go of it the last little stretch here. So, Sandra, you know what I'm talking about, and it's great for you to tune in. I really, really appreciate it. And I did get your email today with the awesome news, and I was going to respond, but I didn't quite have a chance to do that. So thank you so much for keeping me up to date with how things are working on your end, and we'll just continue to fight for you. All right. Let's see here. Imtaz says, it seems that you haven't slept since long. As your eyes are red, or have you taken a drink? Imtiaz, let's see. Eyes, nope, I don't drink, so it's probably not bloodshot eyes from having a drink. But yes, I did have a little bit less sleep last night. And because you've asked for this, I just want to let you know that my wife has actually been struggling a little bit with an injury. And her injury was as a result of some volleyball that we played with our family. And she actually tore the calf muscle in her leg. So I think it's like the gastrocnemius or whatever you want to call it, that muscle in the back of her leg. And it has been awful for her. And so she's had a lot of pain that she's been going through, and it has just not been healing. And I've had a lot of injuries over the years with sports and everything that I've done. But this one is just constant pain. And we're finally going to get her in to see a specialist tomorrow. But often in the evening, she just kind of can't even walk around hardly. And so last night, I stayed up a little bit later, getting her all settled and taking care of her. Usually I try to get to bed about 10:30. And then every morning, I've actually been heading out to the gym at about 6 a.m. To try and get some exercise so that I can have a little bit of balance. But if you're going to bed at midnight and you're getting up really for me, it was 5:30. 5.5 hours probably isn't enough sleep. So good on you for identifying that. And hopefully you guys can look past the bloodshot eyes and realize, hey, Mark is, he's still giving good answers, and no, he's not drunk, and no, he's not, well, yes, he is a little bit tired. Okay, let's see who else we have here. Okay. Bipasha says hi. Soso says hi. Muslim Thebo says, hello, Mark, I'm from Pakistan. Yuri says, God bless Canada. Wasik, if you want to ask a question, then I recommend just hold off for now, and then you can ask it a little bit later. Aditya is in Kolkata, India. Excellent. And let's see, Christine is in Wetaskiwin. Welcome, Christine. It's nice to have someone tuning in from Alberta. Rushdie is Bangladesh. Shamil is in Toronto, another person in Canada. Mara says hi. Hi, Mara. And all right, so we'll just stop there for now. So hold off on asking your questions. And then once I get through these paper ones, then I'll be able to go in and we'll tackle each one of your questions systematically. All right, so hang tight. Let's dive in. So the first question that was asked here by our email folks is related to the personal history section. And this is kind of the flagship question, I guess, for this episode. So those of you who are watching, you're probably wondering, well, what is this personal history, and what does it, what's the difference? Why does it make a difference what I put in there and what I don't? Well, let's start from this premise, okay? One of the biggest challenges I have is when people want to withhold or conceal or not say things because they figure that it's going to create problems in their application. So right from the beginning that Express Entry, when you're filling it out, your obligation is to answer all questions truthfully, complete, and correct. And so whenever you get advice from anyone out there and they tell you to withhold information or don't mention something that it will be better, do not listen to them. So that's the starting point. Your obligation is to be honest, truthful, complete, correct in your answers. If not, and I just completed a review for one of my clients today that of their Express Entry application, and we went over some of the final questions that were asked before we clicked to submit on their Express Entry application. Their EAPR, one of the most important things to realize is that if you misrepresent or you lie or you withhold information, then you can be subject to a 5-year ban from Canada. And it's not your representative or whoever's giving you that helpful advice that's going to get banned. It's you. So from my perspective, and I think it should be every single perspective, people's perspectives in the world, you had better answer things truthfully. Now, with that being said, there are places in Express Entry where you don't need to list everything. And some of those places are your education history. You're only going to list the education that you want to get comprehensive ranking system points for. Your work history, you're only going to list the work history that you want to be considered for the purposes of the comprehensive ranking system. Well, if you are an accompanying spouse, one of the things I've told many people about when it comes to spouses, you're not getting any points for foreign work experience, nothing. So it serves absolutely no purpose, including work history in the spousal work history section, the accompanying spouse. But this is the most important thing. You must 100% include all of your history, all of the activities that you've performed in the last 10 years in your personal history, including all of that work history, all of that education history, everything, all those activities that you've completed need to be included in your personal history over the last 10 years. If you've studied and worked at the same time, include them both. You can have activities that overlap, but by no means do you not list it, even if it's something like illegal work in a different country. So here's the question that comes from Bibek. Bibek says, hello, Mark and Stephanie. Hope both of you are doing fantastic. Let's just see here if I've got the right one. Let's see if I have the right one. Yes. So he says, do I need to show professional education for which I was registered as a student with the Institute in the personal history section? I'm yet to pass and I've been giving attempts from the last year. And for your information, it is a self-study professional CA course, and I have claimed articleship training for 3 years, which is part of the course. Thank you so much. So what Bibek is asking here is, Bibek has some professional education that he's trying to complete, and he wants to know whether or not to include it in the personal history section. Well, 100%, if you're going to school, if you're studying, if you're taking courses, include it. There is no harm in not including it. And in fact, you're actually supposed to let the government know, IRCC, what you've been doing. So in the case of Bibek here, 100% you're going to include it. Even if you haven't completed it or passed it, you're going to list that you've been going to school, that you're going to be attending that. Even if it's by correspondence, even if it's virtual. Maybe you're working full-time and you're studying in the evenings. List them both. List everything in that personal history section. When you list it in there, and this, for those of you who are just a little bit new to Express Entry, the electronic application for permanent resident section, where the personal history is actually included, is only after you get your invitation to apply. So if you're first starting and you're submitting your profile, you won't see any personal history section. It's only in the second part after you get your invitation to apply. So in this case, like Bibek and everybody else, include everything in there. You're not going to be asked to provide documentation to prove it, neither a post-secondary educational credential, not a diploma, not a reference letter for work history. No, you're just listing what you did, where you did it, okay? And I will point out that you need to be very careful that you ensure everything is consistent. If you have your address living in one location for 1 year, and you have listed your work history as being in a different location that same year, well, of course, that's going to be a problem. So pay attention, make sure everything is internally consistent. The locations where you lived, sure, you could be living in one place and studying remotely by correspondence in another place. That's totally normal. But list it. There's no reason not to, including work history that maybe was obtained in a country in which you were illegal. And I may just get to another question here that asks that. Okay, the next one is Anusha. Anusha says, "Hi, Stephanie, greetings from Dubai." All right. Me and my husband have applied for the Express Entry program. Outcome due in February 2020. So about 6 months from the date that they submitted their application would have been February 2020. Where he is the primary applicant. So her husband's the primary applicant. Our medical expires in August 2020. If I get pregnant before August and cannot enter Canada by August 2020, what can be done? Well, you do not need to worry about that. If you get pregnant and are not able to enter for whatever reason, you're going to make sure that before you submit your passport request, you indicate what's happening. You indicate that you're expecting and that you will need to add a new child to the application when the child is born. And that will allow time for you to finish out the pregnancy, for the birth of that child, and for you to be able to land. Now, if you are right at the spot where you've received your passport request and you just find out that you're expecting, well, that's fine. No issues. As long as you've already completed your immigration medical before you got pregnant, then there's nothing stopping you from coming to Canada and having the child in Canada, which is great. But if you have not, for whatever reason, which I can't figure out any reason where this would be the case, if you needed to somehow obtain another immigration medical, well then yes, in many cases that pregnancy will delay that process. But you disclose everything. The only time you're going to disclose that you're pregnant is if it's going to impede on the processing of your application. And in your case, Anusha, if you were nearing the end of, because you haven't indicated if you are pregnant or not here. So if you get pregnant immediately before you complete your landing, then you need to notify immigration. Well, you need to land, or if the baby, I should say, is going to be born just before you are actually able to land in Canada, then you need to put the brakes on everything, notify immigration, and then they'll give you the instructions on how to include that new dependent child. Remember, a new additional child means increased proof of funds because it's one more family member that you need to include. All right. Okay, great question, Anusha. Thanks. All right, this one is from Christopher And Christopher says, "Hi, Mark. I hope you're fine and doing well. I have a query regarding the letter of explanation. As many of my documents need to support LOE, so is there any specific format to follow?" Okay, so I think what he's saying is when he uploads his documents to his personal document checklist, he finds that there are a lot of cases where he needs to explain the document. And so he says, is there a specific format to follow? No, I don't have any specific format. Well, I guess I do now have my own format, but there is no magic to it. There's no specific way that just works better than others. The key is just to make sure everything is clear, easy to understand, well organized, and divided by either the document or the section. All right. He says, do I need to type a letter of explanation, print, and sign on it? No, you don't need to do that, because when you upload that document, you are clicking everything is true, complete, and correct when you file it. So I never worry about signing it, nor having it an affidavit or sworn statement or anything like that. Okay, then he says, and for my spouse, she is a primary applicant and the funds are in my account, although it is clear that I need to write the letter of explanation. But do I need to support other documents except the bank letter statement, I think is what he's asking. So whenever I have those situations, and it looks like Christopher snuck in 2 questions into one, I didn't catch that. But when you have proof of funds that you're including with your express entry application, when your spouse is the principal applicant and the funds are in your account that you solely own, then I'll often include a statement that basically says these funds are available for both of us to land in Canada. When you are an accompanying spouse, you're actually coming to Canada, that process is not an issue at all. When you are staying at home and you are a non-accompanying spouse, then sometimes I will get a letter of explanation. I should say I will get an affidavit that confirms that the funds are available just as a precaution. But I only do that usually if there's a non-accompanying spouse and they're the ones that are going to be providing the funds. All right. And then he says, one more thing, kindly let me know also about your document review plan. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think many of you guys know that I offer a bronze, a silver, and a gold plan. And by far, the silver is hands down the best. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to drag this little image right here onto the screen. And I know it's pretty tiny and maybe some of you can't see it, but starting today until November the 15th, I have a little bit of a window of time. I had a big push and I got a lot of work done last month. Let me see if I can push this over and do it this way. Yes. So last month I got a lot of work pushed out, and so I have capacity to take on more work. And so when that happens, then what do? Well, in this case, I reduce my immigration consultations by 50%. So for only $105 Canadian, you get that same awesome 25-minute consult with me. And don't be deceived, this is not just a regular consult. You send your information to me, I look at it in advance, and I come ready before we ever have the consult. So in all honesty, my time is more than 25 minutes, but for you, it's a 25-minute consultation. You can obviously book more, but that's the standard. And so I'm just going to move these out of the way here. So for half of the price that I usually charge, in this case, $105 Canadian, you'll get those consults if you book them now. So those consults need to be booked and scheduled before November the 15th. All right. So now with that being said, I've also decided to reduce my silver plan by $500 Canadian down to $2,000. So the gold plan still stays at $5,000, but the silver plan, where I go through and review all of your documents, all of the information that you've included, that is now set at $500 off that regular price. So you can see them right here in this image, and I'll post it on the Facebook group. I'll post it on YouTube as well so people know about it. But if you want to take advantage of it, you have to do it in the next 10 days, and that's scheduling that appointment. Okay? All right. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that, given the fact that our good friend here, Christopher, brought it up. So there you have it. Okay. There you go, Christopher. Okay, let's jump to Wahid here. Wahid says, hi, Mark. I want to ask you, do I really need to add content pages in the PDF while uploading the documents? And I think what he's asking is a table of contents. which sets out all the documents that are included? Or do I need to mark every document with its name at the top of every page? No, Wahid, not in any way, shape, or form. The documents are self-evident. If there's no reason to explain anything, then just upload the documents straight. You don't need a cover letter. You don't need a table of contents or anything like that. You don't need to label or write on the document what it is. If you upload it to the right section, the officer will know what it is. The only caveat, the only qualification that I will give you is if you have a ton of documents that are quite confusing and just require a letter of explanation, then sometimes I will, in those cases, provide basically a table of contents that sets down what each document is and the page number that it is, so that it makes it easier for an officer to be able to understand what you've actually included. But understand, this whole process is really case specific. It depends on your situation. It depends on what you're uploading. But as a general rule, no, I do not do that at all. It doesn't add anything to the process, only other work for you. Okay, good question. This question is from Tanvi. Tanvi says, hello, dear Mark and Stephanie. Oh, terms of endearment. Dear Mark and Stephanie, wonderful. First of all, I would like to thank you for the help that you provide. You're very welcome, Tanvi. I'm an Indian citizen living in Tanzania. I have a total of 31 months experience under NOC A, which was gained on a work permit in Tanzania. Okay, so 31 months, that means she's 5 months short of 3 full years, which, remember, 3 years of foreign work experience is critical if you want to have any chance of being able to qualify on your human capital scores alone through Express Entry. If you don't have those 3 years of foreign work experience, you're going to be losing points that are going to make all the difference. So that's where we're at. She's sitting at 31 months with NOC A, which is a professional level occupation, work experience in Tanzania. So obviously she's an Indian citizen, so she's a foreign worker in Tanzania. I also have 8 months of paid experience with the same company in Tanzania, but it was gained, without a work permit. She was paid in cash for these 8 months. And of course, she emphasizes here, working without a work permit is illegal in Tanzania. It's also illegal in Canada. So she says, my question is, can I use the 5 months out of the 8 months of experience without a work permit to complete the 3 years of work experience in Express Entry to gain those extra points? And in this case, for her, it's an extra 25 points. She says, I hope to see this question answered in the live Q&A session. Tanvi, your wish is granted. Okay, what this really comes down to is work experience outside of Canada that was completed without a valid work authorization. So it's illegal work in another country. Can you include it? Well, the short answer is yeah, 100%. Canada does not discriminate work experience that is gained outside of Canada without authorization. You can indeed count that work experience. But the key here, Tanvi, is that you need to prove it. So if you were paid in cash, well, how are you going to prove that you actually were paid? The key here is whether that company will actually fess up and give you a letter that says that you were actually working for those full, in this case, it would have been 39 months, I guess, for those additional 8 months. So that's the question. Will the company be willing to give you a letter that confirms that, yes, you were working for that full 39 months, regardless of the fact the first 8 might have been without authorization? That's the question. But from immigration's perspective, no, they don't bar foreign work experience if it was obtained without status. All right. And the last question, this one's from Diksha. And Diksha says, hi, Stephanie. I would love if Mark could answer my question in the upcoming Q&As. Your wish is granted, Diksha. I really enjoy his videos and the information he gives us. Okay, question. As an Express Entry candidate who is Canadian Experience Class and has received a nomination from Alberta, so the A9P NOI came in the Express Entry profile. That is awesome. That is so cool. I love when my province here in Alberta nominates you guys that don't necessarily have a connection. Now, Diksha, you would better move to Alberta when you get through this. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer your question. I'm just joking. But you would better take advantage of this. Alberta is an awesome place. And if you received a notification of interest, that is fantastic. All right, so the question here that Diksha really has is, do I still require to present proof of funds? Thank you very much. Well, the answer is for the purposes of your express entry application. So after you get your nomination from the province, and then you use it and you indicate, you change your profile to indicate now that you have been nominated, you'll be given that 600 points. But you will still be qualified through the Canadian Experience class. And if you are qualified through the Canadian Experience class, then the rules still apply. Proof of funds are not required. I would make sure that you indicate if you have included a dollar figure in your funds that you have available, when the EAPR document checklist pulls up a section for proof of funds, then in that section, you're going to indicate, please note I was drawn under the Canadian Experience class, if that's what you were drawn under. And because of that, I now am including, I don't have to include my proof of funds, okay? So the provincial nominee programs, remember, all have different rules. And in many cases, those provincial nominee programs include employers who are supporting your application where you actually fit within the definition of a job offer. And so in those cases, proof of funds are also not a specific requirement. But when it comes through going through express entry and you've been drawn under the Canadian Experience class, then through express entry, even if it's a PNP, you can indicate that those proof of funds are not required. Ultimately, you always have the ability to include them, but at this stage, nope is the answer. All right, great question. Okay, now is the time where we are going to open up the comments for everyone. And I can see that the thumbs up are now at 639. So whoever is posting the thumbs up, well, good on you. Maybe all of those thumbs result in this getting more reach. I don't know. Or maybe you're just trying to distract me, which is pretty effective too, I might add. But the reality is, if you're 190 hearts, well, that's awesome. You guys are so funny. If that's a positive development, then great. That's awesome. If not, well, we probably have enough thumbs up now. So whoever's giving me the thumbs up can stop. That's probably okay. All right, so let's go forward, and we're going to start with the first question. We'll start with Shamil, okay? So Diksha says, thanks so much for answering me, Mark. Shamil says, I completed my postgraduate course. Okay, let's see here. We're just going to stop. So yeah, whoever's clicking the thumbs up, it'd be great if you could stop. If you're unable to stop, then I'll assume you're just trying to distract me, and then I'll have to block you from the Canadian Immigration Institute and every other channel that I have. So, because otherwise I'm assuming you're just there to distract me, which in all honesty is one of the reasons why I was reluctant to move, why I was reluctant to move from the express entry law private Facebook group, because I have control over who washes, right? And so what I'm going to do is, let's see here. Yeah, so part of the reason that I chose to actually keep it in the express entry law for so long was because I'd have control over it. And then I wouldn't have people that, for whatever reason, they're all over, trolls and other people out there whose sole purpose is to disrupt when people are trying to do things good. And in fairness, I've blocked consultants, I've blocked other people. So sometimes they also get upset with the fact that I don't allow them into the group. Maybe they were mining for clients, or they were just posting people, to go to their sites and things like that, which is prohibited within the group. And so it's not surprising that I don't have more people that are trying to do their best to just cause problems, because people just can be that way, right? Some people are just not kind, or just not nice. So anyways, I'll take a look at the thumbs up and the hearts, and we might have to remove someone from the group, but that's okay. It happens. All right, so let's get back to answering these questions. Okay, so we go to, Shamil. All right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, give me 1 second, Shamil. Okay, so Shamil says, I completed my post-grad course December 15th, 2018, co-op, but I got my course completed letter on December the 23rd, 2018, and the same day applied for my post-grad work permit. But I continuously worked after the co-op in the same place as they hired me as a full-time permanent employee. So can I count my Canadian work experience from December 15th or from December 23rd? That's a great question, Shamil. The answer is actually you can count your foreign work experience from the date that you actually submitted your post-grad work permit. Okay, so that is one of the advantages, and I haven't found too many places where that's actually listed. But the reality is, when it comes to starting your work history, that clock in Canada when you have submitted a post-grad work permit or you're trying to work on a post-grad work permit, IRCC actually gives you credit from the date that you submit it. So if it's an online filing that you have, you can start counting your work experience from that date. All right, great question, Shamil. Okay, Rushdie says, hi Mark, hope you are doing well. Okay, let's see here. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna be right back. Actually, I'm not going to be back. Just give me 1 second. Let's see if we can figure it out. This is so much fun here. Bear with me here. This person is so awesome, and they have really gone out of their way to to really distract me. So let's have some fun here, okay? Why not, right guys? Why not? Okay, I'll share my screen. So you person that are clicking the thumbs up, you have successfully managed to irritate me, which is awesome. So we'll go to the Canadian Immigration Institute, and let's see here. We have a whole bunch of people that are joining. Let's see if we can find the live session here. I've never really tried this before, like in the very moment of it. Okay, let's see. We've got lots. So we've got this watch party. Let's see if we've got the right one here. So this one's live. So you person that are clicking the thumbs up, you have I'm not sure if I can actually do this. Oh, look at all those thumbs up. That is so awesome. So we'll go to the Canadian Immigration Institute. Let's see if we can see even here. We have a whole bunch of people. Maybe you guys can help me. Who is posting the live session here? I don't know. I've never really tried this before, like in the very moment of it. Who can tell me? Okay, let's see. We've got lots doing the thumbs up and the hearts. Watch party. Let's see if we've got the right one. Yeah, just this one's live in the comment section. So you person that are clicking the thumbs up, and then I'm not sure if I can actually do this. Oh, look at all those thumbs up. I will find them and I will block them from the site, which I love doing. So yeah, okay. I think that's what we'll do, because I can't quite figure out exactly how to find the person when I'm doing this live, like in the very moment. But if you guys can figure out who it is, okay, let's call them out there. Doing the thumbs up in the watch party. Just let's see if we've got the right one. Yeah, just this one's live in the comment section. So you person that are clicking the thumbs up, and then I'm not sure if I can actually do this. Look at all those thumbs up. I will find them, and I will. Those of you who want to help me by blocking this person. So that would be awesome. Yeah. Okay. Because at this stage, that's what we'll do, because I can't quite figure out exactly how to find the person who it is. Wow, they're going crazy now. Good when I'm doing so what I'm going to do is in the very moment. If you guys can figure out who it is, okay, let's call them out there. Doing this watch party. Just like see if we've got the right one. Yeah, just this one's live in the comment section. So you person that are clicking the thumbs up, and then I'm not sure if I can actually do this. Look at all those thumbs up. I will find them. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do this. I can do. I love this person. Let's go back. That would be awesome. Okay, because at this stage, that's what we'll do, because I can't quite figure out exactly. And like I said, those of you who are watching, they're going crazy now. When I'm okay, so what I'm going to do is in the very moment. If you guys can figure out who it is, okay, let's call them out. Yeah, doing the watch party. Just see if we've got the right one. Yeah, just this one's live in the comment section. So that person that are clicking the thumbs up, and then I'm not sure if I can actually. Quite amazing. Some people just are very special people who their sole purpose is disruption. I can't believe that I became so distracted. Well, that was quite effective. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's go back and start answering some more questions. The person's thumb must probably be sore by this stage. Okay. All right, let's start back where I left off. Let's see if I can find it here, guys. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. I think this is it. Wow, I've gone back. Okay. So Wasik says, hi Mark, this is Wasik from Dhaka. I got a response for my web form stating that my application is in the final step. What does final step mean? Well, it basically means that you are nearing completion of your application. Yeah, they do the background checks, and that's pretty much the final step is right there. So you are very, very close, my friend. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Bipasha says, sir, thanks a lot for your enormous support. Has got a lot of help from you. I received my passport request today after more than 2 years of ITA. Bipasha, that is so awesome. Congratulations, my friend. That is awesome. Okay, that is so fantastic. Okay, Kramali says, hi, is it mandatory to travel before 6 months of a passport expiry after getting the stamp of immigration visa? They always, it depends on when your visa is going to be expiring. That's the key that you're going to focus on. But when it comes to the 6 months period, it really comes down to them wanting 6 months validity on your passport before they will actually issue that visa and stamp it in there. But as far as traveling, no, it doesn't matter with the expiry of your passport. That's not an issue. It like in terms of actually traveling, it's getting that visa. Okay. Jit says, any discount for the sportsman mark? Well, I told you, my friend, 50% off for the consult and $2,000 for a review. Arthur says, can I count work experience gained with an open work permit, 20 hours a week, while studying a diploma for express entry under the Federal Skilled Worker or CEC? You can count work experience in Canada that's gained with an open work permit. 20 hours per week is part-time. So let's take a look and let's see. So this really comes down to going to the CEC eligibility. So when we do that, all right, so let's go here and I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. All right, so I share my screen, eligibility to apply for Canadian Experience class. All right, so here we go. So you can see self-employed and work gained while you're a student doesn't count. But if we look at work experience itself, and we scroll through here, so we've got language, admissibility, next steps. Okay, when we look at work experience here, you can see that you have to have at least 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada in the last 3 years before you apply. But here's your answer. The work experience must be full-time or an equal amount in part-time. So 100%, my friend, that works for you. So you can count part-time under the Canadian Experience class. Great question. All right, so the next one, Gurjeet says, hi Mark, how are you doing? I'm doing great, Gurjeet. Sassy says, hi Mark, how are you doing? Good news that my husband got the permanent residence last week. Can you please confirm that as a wife, can I travel with him in visitor visa? Will we get a visitor visa? Sassy, it is likely you will not get your visitor visa approved. If you are listed as non-accompanying, I always advise my clients to try to apply for the visitor visa before they ever start the permanent resident process so that they have a multiple entry visa in their hand. But in your case, after your husband gets the permanent residence and now you're applying to come to Canada as a visitor, very, very rarely do they grant visitor visas in those circumstances because it's hard for you to show temporary intent. Okay. All right. And then Sassy says, how long will it take to process a visitor visa from India? Well, let's take a look. So if we go here, we go to IRCC and then I do processing times. And then I open it up here. And then I go to temporary residence. And then I go visitor visa from outside Canada. Where are you applying from? Well, you were asking me India. Okay, so I go here and then I check processing times. There you go, 12 days. All right. Okay, back to other questions. Okay. Hi, Mark. I have one query. Can we upload a new PCC in case the previous is not as per IRCC guidelines after our biometrics are done? Sukhjinder, I can tell you, my friend, that you are in a whole host of problems. I've seen them not get updated documentations and refuse. This is a huge issue for you. The only option you have is to go through case-specific inquiry and update it. To try to fix it immediately as soon as you possibly can. But there's no guarantee that they will. So do everything that you can to get it uploaded as quickly as possible. And then all you can do is cross your fingers. Because just recently, you guys saw the video that I did with the other individual who, even without them knowing, uploaded a police certificate that IRCC didn't accept, and their application got returned. And so that's the only thing I can advise you. I'm so sorry that this has happened, but it could result in your application getting returned. Okay, Arthur says, can I count work experience gained with an open work permit? Okay, we've answered that one. Gurjeet says, if a person was working for ABC company for 2 years on cash salary, and after 2 years, the company changed location, moved to a different place, but still trading under the same name. Joining letter and some other documents like increments are from previous address, while recent documents and reference letter is from the new address. Is that okay, or should we get a letter from the company confirming they relocate in that year to ABC address? Gurjeet, that's a long, complicated answer, but the response that I give is explain everything. You don't want anything to be seen as some form of misrepresentation or inconsistency. So if they change locations and you can get your employer to actually do that, then go ahead. Do all that you can to try to get a letter that actually explains exactly what you've explained in your comment right there. Okay, Yash says, sorry, I got my invitation last month and I was gathering documents thereafter. I'm submitting all my documents today. So can you please explain me, is it okay if I'm submitting my bank statement, which I got from the bank last week, or it should be the day I submit all my documents? Also, where should we upload IELTS results? Yash, no, your letter can be more than a week old. That's not a problem at all. I generally don't like to have them too much older than maybe a month, but sometimes they are. The reality is for you, you're totally fine. And when it comes to the IELTS results, it doesn't specifically ask us to upload them, but I usually include it with the education documents. Okay. Hi, Yash says, do I need to submit all my pay stubs for my 1 year experience in Canada? No, you don't. But what I'll typically do is I'll include my T4. So that statement of earnings that you get at the end of the year from the government, I'll often include that. Okay. Deeksha says, thanks so much for answering my question. You're welcome. Okay, now we're to where I was before. Some of you guys got some bonus help there. Okay, I'm actually getting really good at this now. This is really good. So the person who was clicking thumbs up, keep going. Don't stop. Because I seen it stopped at 1,453 and only 420 hearts. So I want you to keep clicking on it, okay? Because I've now mastered the ability to tune it out. And I want to see if you can get to 3,000 by the time I'm done, okay? So keep clicking. Don't give up so soon. Keep going because you will be blocked from the site. So you might as well make hay while the sun shines, as we say here. Awesome. Okay, we'll see how long it takes them to hear that message. But it's so cool that they've been listening for this long. Okay, there's another one. Yeah, keep giving those thumbs up. Okay, so Rushdie says, hi, Mark. Oh, there we go. Now the hearts are coming. Actually, I want the thumbs up. There we go. Okay, good. Okay, the primary applicant got the passport request for me and my spouse today. Hey, that's awesome. Currently, I'm living in Bangladesh and my wife is in Australia for her studies. I want to submit my passport in Bangladesh for stamping, and my wife wants to submit her passport in Australia. Please guide me through the procedure. What do we have to do in this regard? Okay, well, you see here, you got the passport request for you and your spouse today. Those instructions should, within that letter, tell you exactly what you need to do. When you submit your passport, there should be a place where you can indicate the address of your spouse. So if they're specifically asking for you to submit it to a visa application center in the country where you're at, I will often request further instructions if they're not in your letter. And this is why I'll tell you, please make sure that you read the letter very carefully. There's usually instructions that tell you what to do in those circumstances, but I will often notify if for whatever reason, let's say your spouse has actually moved and they were originally in one location and now they're in another, then at that stage, what I'll do is I'll request instructions from IRCC as to where they want it to be sent. And if they didn't give instructions in that letter, then they will tell you and give you instructions in a follow-up after that. Okay. Yuri says, hi, Mark. I am 5.5 months since the acknowledgement of receipt, and last Friday I received a request for proof, RPRF, yes, of funds. Also, I received GCMS notes. All seem to be nice and smooth. Awesome. That's great. Does the RPRF mean that I should be expecting a passport request very soon and that I've passed all stages and that it is just a matter of time? Yuri, it is 100% just a matter of time. Without a doubt. You are so close, so close. Okay, because they usually do not request funds unless they're ready to move forward. And in the case of Yuri, this is the actual the right of landing fee, the extra $490 that Yuri's referring to. Some of you, when you submit your application, can opt to pay for just the $550 for the applicant, or the $490. You can do it all together as $1,040, which is the processing fees for an adult. You can do it together or split it up like Yuri did. Okay, Aishcel says, hi, Mark. Thanks for doing this. What are your predictions for the cutoff score in the next all-program draw? Okay, let's take a look here, all right? So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go back here. I'm going to type in, let's see here. We're going to do IRCC rounds of invitations. Awesome. We're going to open this up, and let's take a look and see where we're at, because what helps is looking to see what's happened in the past. So October the 30th, they did a big scoop because there'd been quite a while since the last one. So it was over a month. Well, just about a month. So 475 was the round. Then you'll remember the one immediately before that was just for federal skilled trades. So it was almost a full month when it was an open, no programs specified. At that time, the round of invitation was 464. So then it jumped, like we could see here, then it jumped all the way up to 475. Okay, so there's a couple things that you can do to try to anticipate what may be the score. One of them is to look at who's in the round, who's actually still in the pool. Now understand, this is a little bit skewed because this was October 25th, and so these people have been pulled out here. These 3,900 have been pulled out, and that's where the 475 was. So 475 was the cutoff, and we go look at this. So 451 to 600, you can see in this range, there are 12,999, a huge, huge lump. And then in 601 to 1,200, there is 1,255. It's interesting, they never used to, you can see here when you're going through this, they don't really break this down, you can see any further than this. Whereas before, they used to take this 450 and then they could break it down into all of these subsections. Why did they used to do this? Because these are where the draws used to be in this area. Now they're up here. So I think we should petition IRCC to give a breakdown of these scores because that's where a bulk of people are. So one thing I know, 451, without knowing the exact breakdown of where these are at, it's going to be extremely unlikely that it's going to drop down below 460. At least that's my guess. I honestly believe that it's probably going to be closer to the last round, which in this case was 464. So that's probably what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with 464. Okay? All right. Wasik says, hi, Mark. I got a response for my web form that my application is in the final step. Yep, final means it's just about there. Visha says, hi, Mark. I finally got my passport request. Awesome. Thank you for all your advice on this EE Live and during our consultations throughout this process. Keep up the amazing work. Oh, Visha, that is so wonderful. I'm so happy for you. And to see you guys be able to realize your dream of coming to Canada, that's the thing that just means the most to me. So congratulations. I'm super, super excited for you. Okay, Bapasha says, sir, in the generic application form, we have chosen St. John, New Brunswick as the intended place to live. So do we have to stay over there, or we can move to any other city of New Brunswick? You have flexibility. So Bapasha, you do have flexibility. You don't necessarily have to live in one particular city or another. If you're a provincial nominee, then anywhere in that province is fine. All right? Okay, Rafi says, hi, Mark, how are you doing? I'm excited to have a Skype conference on Thursday for our consultation. Yeah, me too, Rafi. I saw that you had booked a consult. I've sent you an email with my specific questions yesterday regarding the SIMP. I hope you have already gone through it. My only concern is correct knock. Have you gone through it? Rafi, nope, I haven't. And the reason is because I do it before the consult so that everything's fresh in my mind. And when I go out of my way to announce something like this, and then I start doing consults, I can have as many consults as 8 in a day. So in the morning, before the consults start, I go through and review everybody's questions so that I'm prepared for their consult. And then the reason I do them 25 minutes apart is so that I have a 5-minute buffer to transition from one to the other to the other. So I'm super looking forward, Rafi, to being able to do a consult with you. And I will definitely connect with you on Thursday, which is awesome. And we'll talk definitely about the knock and making sure that you've got the right one. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Mara says, what do you think? Yep, we've got that latest round. Okay. Sayani says, hi, Mark. I've traveled to multiple countries in a short business trip, 15 days to 2 months. I cannot add all the addresses in the address history section as it was becoming more than 30 entries. Yeah, that adds up. Also, all these, while my permanent address was 1, do I really need to add these temporary addresses and also hotel address during vacation in the address history? If you have an address where you're currently fixed at and you're just going from there to somewhere else, then those places are considered, they're considered travel, not residence. And if you are giving up one residence and taking on another, then what I do is then I will actually put that new location as your address. But if you're maintaining a prior address and it's really your permanent address, then all of those other sections, Sayani, I include in the travel history section. And that's how I differentiate between travel and address. So I don't put all of those little ones in the address history because if you've maintained your primary address, that's the one that stays there. And even though there are a lot of them, go in the travel history section. And here's a pro tip for you. If you run out of space, then in a letter of explanation, include a table that has all of the same questions as they're asked in the travel history, and then fill it all in and upload it into the letter of explanation. Okay, awesome. Okay, Sassy says, hi Mark, how are you and your family? Happy to inform you that finally my husband got PR. Me and the kids want to accompany him to Canada. Is there possibility to apply for a visitor visa? Okay, I think we've already answered this one. Okay, and I've answered that one. Okay, there's so many questions. Katamba, hello Mark, I started working before completing my first degree. Should count that period as work experience? Of course. The only thing that's important when you're counting foreign work experience is the duties, not whether or not an educational credential is required under the NOC for the employment requirements. What's important is that you've performed all of the activities in the lead statement and a substantial number of the main duties, as well as the other requirements to prove skilled work experience, which is it's paid. It's at least 30 hours a week for full time, that it's in a skilled occupation. Okay. All right. Vipin says, hello, sir. How are you? And please tell me about Quebec. Well, Vipin, there's not much I can say about Quebec. Today, it's all about express entry. I would refer you to my good friends in Quebec that practice Quebec immigration law. That's what I would do, Vipin. Okay. Visha says, when landing, can I provide, if asked, a bank letter that is 2.5 months old, or do I need to get a new one for the purpose of landing? Well, Visha, you can provide that old letter. That's fine. It's not an issue. But sometimes I will just print off a bank statement that's current just to show the officers. But they rarely ever ask for proof of funds. But it's always important to be prepared just in case. Abdul says, I've received recently our RCMP, but we could not upload. The option to upload is not available. That happens, Abdul. And sometimes there's glitches within your MyCIC portal. So use the web form to upload it. And if I share my screen with you, there's a couple ways you can do it. I will do you can type in case specific inquiry or IRCC web form. And this is typically where you'll do it. And you want to fill in all that information, and I'll actually post this right in the comment section for you. Okay. Good question, Abdul. Thank you. And you know what? My thumbs up person is really slacking. Like, I don't understand why it's taking you so long to try to get to 2,500. I don't think you're going to get there. Disappointing. I'm really disappointed. All right. Sajan says, how to study content. Don't have a clue what you're asking there. Yuri, Mark, please close the window. Okay, yes, the echo. We fixed that. Okay, thanks, guys. I think we've got it all fixed now, fortunately. Okay, final step. Echo, echo. Okay. I'm just scrolling till I get to a new question here. Let's see here. I've got a lot of duplications here. Okay, Deeksha says, hey, Mark, I have another question if you have time. I'm probably going to book a consult for the reference letter review, but right off the bat, I got an RR on my PR application. One of the companies I worked for does not have a good 9 presence. No LinkedIn and website, but it is registered and exists for sure. Is there anything on my part I can do here? Really appreciate your time. Well, Deeksha, yeah, definitely this is something we can talk about in a consult. But usually if they're an incorporated company, I will actually provide anything I can get my hands on, including a corporate registry showing that the company exists. And then if you can get the letter, and the contact information for the company are in place, that helps significantly. How were you paid? Were you paid via a deposit into your bank account? Were you paid by cash? Those things all factor in. Okay, Rafi says, hi, Mark, hope you're doing fine. Okay, I have sent you an email yesterday for pre-checking. Yes, I think I already responded to that one, Rafi. Okay, Sharafa says, hi, Mark, in our web form, we requested for the status of the application, and then this is what we got. While examining your file, we were pleased to notice that the situation reported in your web form request is now resolved. Could you please explain if it means it's almost done? Sharafa, all that means is they've actioned your request. I'm assuming they have expected that someone has maybe responded. Those responses really don't make any sense, so I can't even tell you what they mean by that. Oh, sometimes these responses are hilarious. Okay. Aryan says, hey there, Mark. I was refused a visa while residing in the UK and was detained. I disclosed the visa refusal and detention in the statutory questions. Would that suffice? Yeah, that is exactly what you need to do. Immigration always reserves the right to go back, and they could very well inquire further into, wanting more details about the refusal. But the reality is you've done what you needed to do. So that's awesome. Okay. Scrolling down here some more. Okay. Aduwumi says, is it true Saskatchewan is now accepting gift deeds? Do you know what? I don't know. I'm not sure. I never take the chance. So the only way people figure that out is by trying it and seeing if it works. And I don't do that. So I can't answer that one, Addie. Okay, Shrag says, I want to know that license exam should be done clear before applying for a PNP program for dentist or physician. Well, I think you're always going to want to go through that process of getting your credentials assessed. Ultimately, going through a PNP for dentist or a physician, and I'm not sure, Shrag, if you're both of those or if it's one is you and one for your spouse. I always pursue it as far as I can. But the reality is in some cases there are practical components to the licensing that really require you to be in Canada in order to clear it. But for dentists, I know that you can do that before applying. There's no restrictions. With doctors, there are actual requirements that you have to do internally. But when it comes to the actual exam itself, if you can write it before, I always do it. There's no harm in doing that. Okay. Aryan says, what's the best time to order GCMS notes? I submitted my EAPR in the mid of July. I never request it until after I've crossed over the 6-month mark. Tanvi says, thank you, Mark, for answering my question. Great. You're very welcome, Tanvi. Mina says, hi, Mark. I am post AOR. If my accompanying spouse quits her job, do I need to inform IRCC? Accompanying spouse? No, you don't. Only if your address changes do you really need to notify them, or if you are making any specific changes within the application itself. Okay, Indu says, hi, Mark. Hi. Okay, Shitra says, hi, Mark. Me and my husband live in Poland along with legal documents. We have a two-year daughter We had applied card here, but still from her born till now, there is no update. We all want to shift in Canada. Please advise easy way. Shitra, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking for. Obviously, I'm not sure if you're trying to get a passport for your daughter. I'm not sure what the rules are in Poland, but you got to follow express entry the same way as everybody else. And if it means that you have to wait for that birth certificate or passport, you do need those for that child. Musad says, hello from Dubai. Shitra says, we are from India. Let's see here. Okay, Yuri says, hi, Mark. When I received my ITA, I was residing in Ukraine. Yep, that's right. Currently, I live in Poland. When I get a passport request, can I submit my passport in Poland VFS, or do I have to do it in Ukraine? I've submitted a web form asking to update my address. However, no response yet. Yeah, you can submit it through the VAC, the Visa Application Center in Poland. Bipasha, another question. Do we need to take any documents or papers during the first landing? Thanks a lot for all your support. Just your proof of funds is really all you need. Shirag, let's see here. I've answered yours already. Gurjeet says, so is that okay for a company to relocate or it can create issues? Please clear the doubts. Gurjeet, companies can do whatever they want. It's not an issue at all. You just need to make sure that if your work history says you were working in one location and your company moves and you move with them, that you update to make sure that the information you're providing is accurate and complete. Wajdi says, hi, Mark, please. I've heard many refusal for study permit. Do you recommend that I prepare explanation letter from now without wait the first refusal? Well, that's pretty sad if you're submitting a study permit and you're already ready for a refusal. Yes, they are refusing a lot because there's freaking 600,000 plus international students in Canada. And eventually it reaches a stage where they have to curtail them because there's just more than the country can handle. All right. Okay. We'll skip through there. Addie, as far as CV, no one cares about the font. You can put it whatever font you want. There's no, resume format either. There's lots of places that give lots of tips and strategies for Canadian resumes, but yeah, there is no specific format. Gloria's from the Philippines. Hi, Gloria. Okay, let's see here. Katamba says, Mark, you have a place in heaven. I hope so. Although our checkbox, our thumbs upper guy is kind of slowed down. Man, I thought for sure that they might be able to get to 2,500, but they weren't. That's so sad. So sad. Keep trying, my friend. Keep trying. Okay. Arian says, Mark, you're a lifesaver for many of us out there. Yet some people still have the audacity to waste time by using thumbs up and hearts. That is so funny. Actually, they had me going there. It took me a while to get in the zone and block them out. But I suspect that's what's going to happen, right? As more people know about it, and people are just going to be going out of their way to try to, just be jerks, and that's okay. That's all right. See, now I think their thumb must have been tired. Now they're going again. That's good. Okay, Shitra says, hi, Mark, thanks. Yeah, she has a passport, so basically we can apply express entry from Poland. Yeah, there's no restrictions on that. Gurjeet says, thanks a lot. Addis says thank you, and Soza says thank you. All right, I want to remind all of you guys again that right now, if you send an email to stephanie@stringham.ca, you can book a consult for 50% off the current rate. And that offer is open until November the 15th. And, which I don't have in this image, well, you can kind of see it up in the top right. I am offering my silver plan, which is a full EAPR review, documents, helping draft reference letters, not reference letters. Well, I review reference letters exactly for correctness and all the other documents. And I help draft the letters of explanation and anything else that you need, all for $2,000 Canadian plus the 5% sales tax. And so that offer is also open to November the 15th. And for the silver plan, you just need to book it. And you need to sign the engagement agreement, and that will lock it in. So take advantage of that by sending an email to stephanie@stringham.ca, or you can just message me too at Mark Holthe. And and I'll hook you up. So thanks so much, guys. We'll answer a couple more, and then we'll wrap up here. Okay, so Furkan says, I'm studying in Sweden as a master's student, but I want to apply for a visit visa in December for Christmas vacations. Please tell me, what are the requirements? But I have a Pakistani passport along with a Schengen visa. Well, for Con, you just follow the process. Google IRCC study permit, and that's exactly what you do. There is no magic to it. You can be in a different country on a temporary status and apply to visit Canada. Okay. Gurjeet says, I've inboxed you, bro. Please check. I will. Mehrab says, please, how can I registered nurse come to Canada? The same way that everyone else does, my friend. Express entry or a job offer, which obviously can be challenging at times. Sayani says, loans need to be disclosed in proof of funds, even if EMI is not deducted from the account. The reality is, I just follow the instructions, specifically what IRCC says. And in the completeness check website, and I'll share my screen with you guys again. So when I go to this site and I go EE, and then I go completeness check right here, and I scroll down to the proof of funds right here, it specifically tells me right here that you need to provide official letters from one or more financial institutions that lists all current bank and investment accounts, as well as outstanding debts, such as credit card debts and loans. So what do? I include them. And so sometimes it's not convenient. Sometimes it's a pain for my clients, but I try to be thorough. I don't leave anything to chance. Sheecher says, thanks. Kamatari says, hi, Mark. Last week, immigration asked me to send my passport copy and pictures for COPR, and I sent them in Ottawa. Do you know how many days I'll have to wait? I'm in the U.S. Kamatari, it could be, usually it's about a week and a half or so. Sometimes it happens faster. Sometimes it happens slower, but usually it's pretty quick. Very cool. All right, guys, unfortunately, our little thumbs upper, who's going to get blocked here in about 2 seconds, is officially unable to meet the goal I set for them, which was 1,000 hearts and 2,500 thumbs up. Oh, so sad. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of the supports that you give me. You guys are awesome, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this if it wasn't for all of the support that you give for the Canadian Immigration Institute. And as always, if I go in here, let's see if I can find it right here. This is the reason I'm able to do this to a large extent. It's because of my Express Entry complete step-by-step guide to doing it yourself. And in the description for this video, I have a link, but I'll also put it in here where you can access the Express Entry do-it-yourself guide here, which covers the vast majority of the stuff that I'm talking about every day here, well, every week on these Express Entry Live Q&As. You can go to this link and you can click on Purchase Guide. And for those of you who are watching this live, the special 60% off sale is done. But if you click on Purchase Guide and then you type in EEDIY50 and click Apply, you'll get 50% off the regular price, and you'll get lifetime access for only $248.50. So I wanted to remind you guys about that, and that offer is available to all of you fine people that are supporting these live videos and making them as awesome as they are. Also, you can go to the Canadian Immigration Institute page and check things out there. It's constantly growing. I'm constantly adding things to it. If you go to business guides, those of you who are wondering what the whole labor market impact assessment process is about, I have a guide right here that's specifically targeted and geared towards companies. And it's for them to understand how they can hire you and offer you a labor market impact assessment. So you can go to this site, you can learn more about it, and this guide is only $300 Canadian. And that, like I said, talks about the whole process step by step, tips and strategies, instructions. It's all designed. So if your company that you're working, that you want to get a job offer for says, hey, we don't know how to do the LMIA process, push them here and have them purchase a copy of the do-it-yourself guide or a subscription to it. And it can walk them through the process. And it's at a very, very affordable rate so that they're not going to get scared off when you're telling them, look, you need to go through this process. So it's all designed to help them. All right, that's about all that I got for today. I guess the last thing that I'll say is if you are watching this as a video, I want to apologize for being distracted there. It's amazing how you let just a little thing kind of get in the way and you just get baited in, right? You just get baited in. So anyways, you can see here, EE Live Q&A. Right there is what we're doing today. If you want to have one of your questions considered, send it to Stephanie@stringham.ca, and don't forget to put EE Live Q&A in the subject line. All right. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And those of you who are watching on YouTube, thanks so much for subscribing to the Canadian Immigration Institute. And those on the Canadian Immigration Institute Facebook page, thanks for liking it. All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you next week as we do another Express Entry Live Q&A. Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, wishing you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Express Entry.